this. I would just like to thank my mother for texting me and telling me to close my green screen because it was open and you could see into my room. So that's the second week in a row she's had to do that. So I'm really glad she's watching. Mom's always got my back. So anyways, let us find Rob. Rob, I hope you're ready because here we come. What's up, Rob? How are you?
Ready, yeah. Not bad, how are you?
I'm doing well. What an adventure to get here, hey?
Yeah, welcome to small towns and slow internet over here. So.
Yeah, we had Rob running all over his house trying to find the best internet connection. So if he freezes up during the broadcast, as long as the sound is good, we're just going to roll with it. So
yeah, that works for me.
Are you ready for the flashback?
I am, yeah.
Let's do it. Alrighty. So tell us, what was it like growing up, Rob?
Growing up was all right. I had an older sister, a younger sister, and a younger brother. So a busy household. My parents did the best they could. We were by no means like poor, but also not rich. So somewhere in the middle. My dad drank a lot with me growing up, but I think he quit drinking around the time I was 8 years old. Mm-hmm. And then he worked a lot. So growing up was, I don't know, I was involved in lots of sports, enjoyed them a lot until I didn't anymore, I guess. Not really sure. Oh crap. I should have paid attention to my notes here, but growing up was decent. It was the later years that really sucked.
Yeah. You're doing the same thing as last week's guest did. You're kind of sitting off to the side a little bit. Can you move over just a little bit so you're not other way, a bit more.
Is that better?
Bit more. There, perfect. Oh, look at that. Framed perfectly. So,
yeah.
Did you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I did. I had an older sister, a younger brother, and a younger sister. My parents tried to give us lots of opportunities. We went to French immersion school. I think back then it was like the thought that French was going to be like the full second language. Everybody needed to know French. So they tried to give us the best opportunities to go to those schools. And that was it. I grew up going to church. I grew up in a really rigid Catholic family, Roman Catholic. I was an altar boy up until grade 8. I actually, funny story, like I wanted to be a priest until I was in grade 8. My mom still swears that she never pushed for that, but she said it was my grandma. But yeah, I read the Bible all the time as a really young kid, and that was everything. Went to church all the time. So
when you were
very
that young,
rigid.
When you were that young and you were reading the Bible, did you get anything out of it, or was it just like a matter of compliance, or what?
Like I don't know if I would have gotten much out of it other than back then a lot of it was I would have to say, looking back now, is like based on fear. So like fear of sinning, everything, just constant. Basically just lived in fear of like disappointing people, doing something wrong. So a lot of that just weighed on a little kid, and then I had some things happen that just made it unbearable. So really pushed me away from God for a lot of years.
Was there any abuse in the home?
Not in the home. I wouldn't really say. Not that I can remember, like a couple probably random breakouts, but nothing that I feel wouldn't be like my dad's story to tell or anything like that. Yeah. But yeah, nothing. I'm trying to remember now. I'm just drawing a blank on that one. I would say, like, if anything, it would be like more emotional, like, or lack of affection coming from my dad, maybe the most. But whether that's considered,
well, you
I
mentioned
probably considered it somewhat abuse.
When we spoke last week, you mentioned sexual abuse.
Yeah, that I was actually sexually abused by a neighbor. Around the time I was about between 8 and 12. That's what really, looking back now, and like from taking social work classes and going to counseling and tons of treatment centers and stuff like that, I've learned that that's really what set me on my path to picking drugs and just trying to numb everything. Was that sexual abuse. And growing up Catholic, it also meant that I felt I couldn't tell anybody. I was also, like, back then homosexuality was like a definite no-no. And that what happened to me made me feel like it was my fault.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened for quite a while. So I just really kind of hid into myself and spent years beating myself up, and never I didn't tell anybody till I was probably 35, I guess. When I was
Did you think it was normal at the time?
Like the sexual abuse, not
Yeah.
not overly, but I was also, I don't know if I thought that it was normal. I just really didn't know what was happening, and I just froze every single time. Like my mom would force me to go over and play with this kid because he didn't have any friends, and so I felt like I had to, and I just didn't know any different. Like I was too scared to say anything to anybody. So yeah,
So how did you cope with that? I mean, looking back now, like what kind of coping mechanisms were you using?
At that time, I was really involved in speed skating, for like lots of training for speed skating. I used to go to Calgary up until I was about 13 or so every summer at the Olympic Oval and train. I made the provincial team for speed skating. And I would just run, like constant running, constant training, and just go out by myself and do it. And that was probably my biggest coping mechanism, I would say, at that time. It was just to run or ride my bike, just constant training. But it just didn't stop working.
Yeah. So how were your relationships in school? Did you make friends easy?
I think I did. I was like a big class clown. So I was really small. I got picked on a lot for being super tiny. So in turn, I learned to always be the first with a witty remark. And I still kind of have that, but just not in such a hurtful sense now, or I try not to anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, the guys I work with will probably say differently, but we rag on each other all the time. So
yeah.
But yeah, like I definitely was the class clown and always trying to like be the funny kid. I just found that humor was what made people like me, or I thought it did. And I wasn't the best looking kid either. I was kind of a goofy looking little shit. So
Okay.
yeah.
Maybe your opinion is biased?
No. Yeah. I like to post pictures now. I like to post pictures now of like me getting my first communion with like a mullet, big silver Jeffrey Dahmer glasses, and a suit and Nike high tops. So yeah.
So
yeah.
How old were you when you first got loaded?
The first time I tried drugs would have been about 12 years old. I was prescribed Ritalin, and so it didn't really do much. When I tried it, I ended up trying to snort it with a kid in my class, like one of my best friends at the time.
So that was just like right away for you?
No, that's not what, like I really didn't feel much off it. So it wasn't until I got to, like I think it's because I needed it. Like I had severe ADHD, I would say. So it didn't really do that much for me. But it didn't really happen that I loved, like finding out that I loved drugs until the first time I did acid. I went to a punk concert, and it was like hook, line, and sinker after that. It was just as much as I could do, and just a lot.
So, how old were you when you first got arrested, and what did that look like?
The first time I got arrested was for a stolen car. I think I was 14. I got arrested with 4 or 5 other guys, and got arrested by a cemetery, actually, by the old Sears building in Regina here. Like it should have been scary for me, but it really, I don't remember it being that scary. Like it was just kind of, when I look back now at all the things that I've done and like all the things that happened, it's kind of like watching a movie, sort of. Like nothing really, a lot of things wouldn't faze me. Like I'm sure they did internally, but just like it never stopped me from doing it again. So by the time I was done with my young offender, like I had a long list of charges, quite an extensive one. So I never learned lessons very easy.
Yeah. Were you into gangs?
I guess I would have to say, yeah. Not at that time. No.
And I still don't.
yeah, exactly. No.
Yeah.
No, that went on for a lot of years. Yeah.
So. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's to this day. I don't learn anything easy. So I don't know if that's.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
So.
It's got to be hard.
Yeah,
to learn.
Exactly like me. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Or else I tend to forget.
Yeah. So, did you graduate?
I dropped out of school at like grade 9. So I finished grade 9 and then dropped out. I ended up going back to a place called Encore, actually, where Rand Teague was a teacher.
Oh yeah.
And I was actually sober at that time for about 3 years. I had my firstborn when I was 17, and his mom kind of helped me stay on track with being clean. I went to meetings, did everything, like a meeting every single day. But I also wasn't going to school from the time I was like 17 till I was 19, so I didn't have much else to do other than go to meetings. So yeah, but I did graduate when I was 20 years old. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So were you still living at home when you graduated?
I haven't no, God no. The only I went back home. I went back home sporadically. I should have texted my mom and asked her all the answers to these questions because my brain's a little burnt for some of the stuff. But
give her a text. We'll wait.
Yeah, the only time I ever really lived at home was when I really needed to hide out, or if I was court ordered to stay there. Like if I had no other place to go. That was literally the only time. So I was pretty much. I did a lot of skateboarding and a lot of just kind of bouncing wherever, living on the streets from the time I was 14 till, man, I don't know, I guess theoretically you could say till in my 30s, but just less skateboarding at that time once I got older.
We've got a pile of comments coming in here, and I do not want to think that our viewers aren't being acknowledged. We've got Corey here. Corey's a little anxious. I think this came in before. He's like, let's go already! Corey, has he got a lot of energy? Rob, you know Corey?
Yeah, I do. If it's the Corey I'm thinking of, yeah.
Yeah, we've got...
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh, I hope I don't say this name wrong. We've got... Any ideas, Rob? I don't want to say it wrong. So.
Janaea? I can't see it on the screen, so I'm not sure.
Oh, you can't see it on the screen?
But,
Janaea. No. Janae, I'm sorry, but thank you for watching. What else do we got here? We've got Corey. I think when you were talking about the abuse, Corey had to say, shut the fuck up. How is that normal? And it is not normal.
It isn't, yeah.
So Chase says, was Goofy looking?
Yeah, I work with him, so yeah.
And what else do we got? So I think that's about it for the comments for now. How were your 20s? Tell us about the 20s.
Things took a turn after my firstborn was born. Once I split up with his mom, I was in and out of the psych ward for suicide attempts. Really just had no place to go, bouncing around, just partying all the time. And I would, lots of times were fun. I remember lots of good memories partying, but I also remember lots of times being the only one left partying, or being the first to pass out because I'd already been partying. Mm-hmm. They were pretty much a fucking disaster, to be honest. Things never got better. My late 20s is when, late 20s would be when I joined a gang. I did it as what I considered to be, I laugh now, but as a smart business move. I wanted, I had big aspirations to be this crazy big drug dealer.
Yeah. And
it just seemed like the next logical step, man. I started tattooing their patches for them.
Yeah.
And then just really took a liking to it all and just jumped right in, feet first.
Yeah.
And that's when things things started really going shitty. I wasn't getting arrested lots, but I just was literally always on the run.
Yeah.
Bouncing from place to place.
This all happened in Regina, correct?
Yeah, I did I would go up to Saskatoon to party with some friends every second weekend. I did manage to hold down jobs, but it was kitchen jobs, nothing very stable or long term at all. It's jobs that allowed me to still do lots of drugs and get paid and show up for work and fake my way through it. But,
what else do we got here? So were you homeless at all during this time?
Yeah, I would honestly say I had random places, but I was paying rent was never my forte. This is the first, since I got clean 6 years ago, this has been the first time I've ever really been good at paying rent.
Yeah.
It was just never really a priority to me. Either the girlfriend I was with would kind of look after that aspect of it. I'd make money and stuff, but I would just, to me in my brain, I would always some opportunity would come up to buy drugs and flip them the morning, like the night before rent was due, and I'd jump on it. And then, you know, like just a constant, I don't know, man, just constantly going.
Yeah.
So rent was never my strong. I would not put paying rent on my resume at that point, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah.
And you had your son with you during this time. How did you handle parenting and living the life?
It's like my oldest boy came to live with me like around when he was 12, and we lived in like numerous gang houses. He always got a bed, and I would just sleep wherever. I tried to hide absolutely everything from him as much as I could, but like looking back now, he's 23 now, and he knows like what went on, but he didn't know the extent of it at the time, which is what I always wanted. So in my mind, I always had it like where I was doing this for a reason. You know what I mean? You dream of giving your kids and leaving behind a bunch of money and living good, but it just never happens. Yeah. It's like chasing, it's just like chasing your first high. Like you just don't get it. It never happens. So, and if it does, then I don't know. I guess you don't see me in a rap video, so I guess that's not happening for me. But
yeah.
Like,
you won't see you in a rap video.
It was tough.
You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring.
Yeah. It was tough, man. I had problems even getting like him to school on time, just like constantly like, and like lots of times just driving fucked up to drop him off at school, like things I'm not proud of, but I mean they happen. So, but it was just a shit show.
Mm-hmm. Did your employers at the time know you were using?
Yeah, like chances are any job I had, I was probably using with most of the people I was working with. So I think everybody, like, I always like to think, and like when I look back now, it's like I didn't let people take too many pictures of me for like a long time, like ever. I never really liked being in pictures, just low self-esteem, everything from when I was younger. Just so there's not like a ton of pictures of me, but like I always was under the impression that I was hiding it really well. But like, man, I see pictures now, like the odd picture, and it's like, holy shit, like I was always like 100 pounds and just like sunken cheeks, you know what I mean? Like just brutal. Yeah. So I imagine everybody knew I was using, whether I denied it or not.
So did you show up to parent-teacher interviews? Were you participating in that sort of thing?
I did. Yeah, I did do all that. And I went, like, I had my oldest boy in, like, competitive soccer. And, like hearing about, like, tournaments that were coming up, you know what I mean? Like, other parents were just, like, not even concerned about paying for tournaments and doing whatever. And I had to go make sure I re-upped in time to make sure I had enough cash flows and stuff like that. Like, it's not that the money wasn't there. It was just that the ways I had to get it was a lot different than the other parents. So, I mean, I still got along with all the parents, but I think my sense of humor always helped a lot with that. I was always really friendly. But looking back now, like, you could definitely tell that I was strung right out. Yeah. But,
so, when did you meet your wife?
So I met my late wife in Victoria Park. I showed up to Victoria Park just with a briefcase full of tattoo equipment and a skateboard and headphones. Man, I don't even know. It could have even been a Discman or a yellow Sony Sports Walkman at the time. It was a long time ago. But I'd have been like right in my early 20s the first time we met and dated, and then we kind of separated for quite a few years. She went on to have 2 kids, and they're like my 2 lovely stepdaughters now, who I still get to see. And they're like 16 and turning 50, and so we got back together, like reunited. Let me think, like my dates are not very good. So she passed away about 3 years ago from cancer, and we were together for about 7 years or something like that before that. On and off, it was very like rocky and toxic. I hate that word, but that's what it was. But yeah.
So, did you use together? What was that like?
Yeah, that's like when we met, we were partying together, and then when we reunited again when we were older, we drank a lot, did a lot of drugs. She was like never happy about my drug dealing because, like, man, I'd be gone for like days at a time, or I'd stay with her and supposed to be living there, but I'd also have like 2 other places that I'd stay at. And she was never really happy about it, but like we do a lot of drugs together, until she got really sick, and then she definitely only did what she was supposed to do, like what she was prescribed, and just cut everything else out. And I just didn't stop. And like I remember times shooting up in the bathroom at the Alan Blair Cancer Clinic, like just outside of where you walk in, and, you know, snorting fentanyl, and then going and sitting in a chair with her while she got chemo done, and like thinking nobody knew that I was like a mess. But it's just, I just couldn't clean up, man. Like, and I don't even think I tried at that point. Like,
so the cops kicked in the door at one point. How did that end?
It ended slow in a long roundabout way to where you see me now. Doing good. That's how it ended. But like, it definitely, like, it's like how we talked about earlier. Like, there's so many times in my life where like it should have been enough, and that should have been it, and it just wasn't. Like when the cops kicked down the door, I had gone out to get, Chelsea and I were fighting at the time, and I had gone out to get, I think it was like Tylenol for Beckett. He was just a baby. Like I don't even think he was 6 months old. And I probably came back what I thought was maybe like an hour or two, but it was more than likely like it was late evening by the time I came back, so I was probably gone all day. Just getting high, and like I don't know if I was looking for Tylenol or what, but we lived right behind the Shoppers too, which is just wild. But now looking back, but still. And when they kicked down the door, they had heard that I had a gun, and I'd been in trouble before, and that's basically what they were looking for, was to try and nail me with that. I was lucky, and I was constantly, like I said, I always had like a couple of places where I went, and they were not the best places. And when they kicked down the door, it was like out of nowhere, and I was holding Beckett standing in the kitchen. We lived in low-income housing. It was a really small place, like the front door, kitchen, bedroom. It's all right there, like within spitting distance, pretty much. And the first thing I heard, and I still like remember hearing it, was just drop the baby. And it was like they were so fired up, and I was just so out of it. I tried denying that I was messed up. I didn't end up dropping the baby, thank God. But
weird thing to say.
It is like, I can like laugh now, like just chuckling at like the situation and just how like out of hand I let things get. But I mean, I understand where they were coming from with their job, and like what they were, who knows, they obviously probably had kids at home too, and who knew what they were walking into. So I get it, but yeah, it was probably most likely just adrenaline, and I'm sure he felt kind of silly yelling at afterwards. He probably meant put the baby down, but
yeah.
Still.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
we've got a couple of comments here. Tammy says Chelsea would be so proud of you. Amanda says, "Oh my God, she would be so proud of you, Rob."
Thanks, she would be. Yeah.
Please continue. So what next? That happened.
So that happened, and like when they arrested me, they put me in cuffs, and there was like 6 cops, numerous cruisers there, and we just lived in a small little bay. Sometimes like all my neighbors would have seen. They ended up putting the cops put a restraining order against me, so I couldn't go home, and that just led to me like jumping around. I ended up like when it was all said and done, and when I finally turned myself in, like probably close to 1.5 years, 2 years later, I had racked up a few breaches for being caught at Chelsea's house. They were constantly coming by and checking, and they found me up in the bedroom in the closet hiding one time under the bed. Yeah, like it's just, I think from their standpoint, they were probably just trying to break me, I guess. I don't know. But from my standpoint, I wasn't about to let anybody, and I just kind of took it as it came. After being on the run for about 2 years, it just kind of ended with one day me being up in my bedroom at Chelsea's house. And she was trying to feed me fruit because I hadn't eaten in like 2 or 3 days. At this point, I was like sliding down the stairs to go to the bathroom or answer the door or anything. My meth dealer came by and saw my eyes apparently, and they were just yellow. His dad had just passed away like about a month before from kidney failure. I think it was kidney or liver. And he said that he recognized the signs and drove me to the hospital. Didn't come in though, just dropped me off at the door. And he helped carry me to the door because I could barely walk. I took one look at the triage nurse and told her I wasn't feeling very well. And within like a matter of like 30 seconds, man, they were sitting me in a wheelchair and I was in an isolation room, like all glass walls. And yeah, and it ended up being that I contracted endocarditis from IV drugs. And my heart valve was like hanging on by like one little thread. You could hear it when I breathed, like fluttering. And I just become so like accustomed to smoking meth and shooting everything that I didn't, you know, and I smoked like 2 packs a day. So I just assumed it was like smoker's cough, I guess. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah. I obviously wasn't. So, yeah. But either way, I ended up being I was in the hospital for like 3 months in general. And the first 2 months I spent still shooting up and still getting high and selling pills and heroin and fentanyl out of the hospital room.
How did you manage that?
I don't know. I guess I thought I was sneaky. Go down for smokes lots of times in a wheelchair because there was days when I couldn't walk. Everything failed on me. Like my kidneys failed. There was at one point when I went in, I was probably under 100 pounds. And at one point I shot up to, I don't even know how much, a lot. My legs were like the size of one thigh was like the size of my whole waist put together, and it was all water weight. Like, there was a point when, like, I don't know how appropriate this is, but it's just always like my favorite part to tell about the story is that, because I still remember it, I don't remember, like, I probably only remember about a month of that hospital stay because I was so in and out of it and just lots of passing out from pain and stuff like that. But my nutsack actually swelled to like bigger than a softball, and it was like see-through because there was so much water. And I remember crying and my dad looking at me, and he lifted up the sheet and he looked and he's like, I don't know what he's so upset about. That's the biggest it's ever been. And it's always still like made me laugh. Like still makes me laugh to this day.
Well,
like,
what an optimist. My gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. I guess that's where I get it from. But
yeah.
But yeah, like it was ridiculous. Like, and I still wasn't ready to quit. Like, I was still lying, I think, about doing drugs at that point. I would have to ask my mom, but like, I ended up having to sign over my medical decision making to my brother-in-law, who was the pastor of the church that my parents went to at the time, because I couldn't even be trusted to have a visitor or go out for a smoke alone. Like, they found a whole bunch of syringes and a ton of pills and stuff in my room. Security was there after I came back up from the smoke, and they just gave me the option that they already knew I was on a run, because that was one big thing. I tried leaving a few times because I was so scared I was just going to get arrested, and I was so sick. Like, I don't think I understood the gravity of the situation I was in. Like, I was dying, and if I didn't have open heart surgery, I was dead. They gave me 48 hours to live the first day that I was there, and I like casually texted my mom and was like, "You should come see me." They told me I'm probably going to die. Like, I just didn't give a shit anymore. Nor did I believe that I would die. Like, so it was like, it's a really weird combination of just like feeling like Superman, but being completely so close to being under the ground. Like, yeah. I couldn't fly with a shit, to be honest. So, but yeah, it was just a shit show. I wish I still had pictures of what it was like in the hospital. Yeah. One of my friends had pictures, and I would send her pictures. And she's since deleted them, she said, because it was just too hard to look at. But like, I had tubes coming out of me everywhere. It took me about 2.5 months to get well enough for open heart surgery. We had to have a big discussion with the surgeon saying that if I chose to go back to my lifestyle, and if I ended up back in the same position again, that they wouldn't do surgery again. And like, this whole time, man, I honestly didn't think I'd live. So I just said, yeah, for sure, you won't see me back here. Like, it'll be fine. Like, and you know, you just like promise everything. Anything anybody wants to hear, man, you just promise it, just to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. So
yeah.
What was the final straw for you?
Like, there's kind of like two final straws, but the first final straw was like, I agreed to go to treatment to a faith-based 1-year program called Teen Challenge Saskatchewan in Allen. It's like on a farm. And like, at first, like, my family knows me well enough to know, and I was like so angry at God at this point. Like, I felt like God had abandoned me for all those years, and everything was his fault. So I wasn't about to go to some place that made you pray. Like, forget that. Like, God definitely wasn't going to be the one to save me. So I agreed to go to this treatment center, and my family was smart enough to not tell me like everything that entailed, like all the religious aspects and faith-based parts of it.
Yeah.
So I didn't find that out until later, and I still tried to like leave after I got out of the hospital. I went back to my parents' house. One of the stipulations of getting into the treatment center was the fact that since I was on the run and had warrants out, I had to go turn myself in. My brother-in-law called the police station. They promised that since I just had heart surgery like a couple weeks before, that I wasn't well enough to go to jail. Like they didn't send me there. There was no way. They would just keep me for a couple hours and then give me a court date and let me out. So I decided to give it a shot and said, screw it. And the next thing I knew, I was locked in cells for the night and then on my way out to correctional. So I went on remand, and that was like my first turning point, I would say. It was on remand.
Tell us about it.
I was still on prescribed painkillers for my heart surgery, and I just remember I wasn't allowed phone calls. I wasn't allowed to have my medication until I saw their doctor. I was just locked in my cell. I was lucky enough that, and I probably only weighed 100 pounds about at that time, just skin and bones. And I was still had trouble walking. I just finished using a cane to walk around for the longest time. After being in the hospital so long, there was times when it felt like I had to learn how to walk again. But on remand, my cellmate was in PA on trial, so I had the room to myself. So I got lots of time to think and swear at God and pray. Basically just the same prayers that I always said, like, get me out of this and I'll do whatever you want. That kind of stuff, just help me this one time, I'll never do it again, that kind of thing. I went to court, and the Crown prosecutor was asking for 5 years for a long list of breaches. There was a bunch of drug charges, and just, yeah, I got lucky that my brother-in-law was there, stood up and spoke for me and said, he's already made all these arrangements, he's already gone through heart surgery, give him a chance to at least go to this treatment center. It's all paid for, ready to go, it just needs the okay, put him on probation, do something. And I had a judge take mercy on me, but she did tell me that if I screwed up and she saw me back there, I'd get the full 5 years and plus some. So it was enough for me to sit at my mom's and quietly withdraw and watch every episode on Netflix that I could find before I went to this faith-based treatment center where there was no TV and no music. So and then I went, and I made my way out to Allen, Saskatchewan. I by no means was at a point where I was about to surrender all my rights. There was no smoking in there, and I, like a pro, tucked half a pack of smokes under my nutsack and my iPod and just prayed that they didn't search me.
Was it still really big?
So, yeah, no, at that point, no, there'd have been no room for smokes. So, yeah, but thankfully, yeah. But, I wish it was. I would have been able to fit more smokes in there. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we're getting a lot of comments. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're getting a lot of comments. I want everyone to know we'll get to all of you in the viewer's voice. So I'm not ignoring you. We see you. Go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
So I was by no means ready to give in, and I wasn't surrendering. So that first turning point was just a slight wake up call to me. The next turn, during this time, it's important to note that Chelsea was going through heavy chemo, and there was times where she was very close to dying. She was so sick. It was so little. My mom really stepped up because I was in treatment to help out with Chelsea. She drove her to all her chemo things. There was times when I remember my mom coming to pick Chelsea up from chemo when I was still at the house, and I wasn't supposed to be there, and my mom would remind me all the time that I was breaking the law, but if she only knew, which I'm sure she did, but and she would take Chelsea to chemo and take Beckett, and I would be half passed out on the living room floor. I was just at a point where I didn't care about anything, and being in treatment, that honestly didn't change that much. I was there, I knew I had to be there, and I was just doing it to please everybody and get the fuck out so I could be back with Chelsea. And live life. 3 months in, I was having like, for the first 3 months, I had such horrific using dreams. There wasn't like a night that I went to sleep that I didn't taste meth. Like when you shoot up, I just taste the chemical. There wasn't a night that I got more than like 2 or 3 hours sleep at a time. I was just burnt and done. And I remember just breaking down one day and sitting in my room alone and just crying and begging God and being like, look, like I know I've asked for this like a ton of times, but like show me you're real. Like, and just, if you take away like all this shit with wanting to use and wanting to leave, because if you don't, I'm fucking gone. And then I knew it was over. I was like, and if you're real, just do it. And I swear to God, I will do, or I swear to you, but I will I'll do whatever you want, man. I'll stick it out and I'll make this work, and I'll just, like, I'll be good. And I fell asleep for the first time that night, and I slept all through the night, and I'm never like, and first thing I was just like, fuck, because I knew that I'd already made a promise that I had to keep now. Like, I mean, I made lots of jokes about getting smited by God, but I wasn't about to test it out. I felt like I'd already been smited a ton of times. And to this day, I still haven't, like, I don't get used in dreams. Like, not like they were back then. Like, I might have, like, a roundabout dream of me at the bar or something, but it's never anything that causes me any grief when I wake up. Like, just gratefulness, if anything. But yeah, and I was screwed. So, and I still am screwed today. Like, I made that promise, and now I'm sticking with it. So, it's just not...
Tell us about your first year. Like when you got out of treatment, what was it like stepping back into reality again?
So like my first year, so my first year involved mostly being in there. They did let me come home for what accumulated to almost like 2 months. They let me come back a couple times when Chelsea was rushed to the emergency by ambulance, and they'd let me take like a little bit of extended passes, but I was also in a pretty decent place. And I had lots of supports back home, so they knew that it was a safer thing for me to come back on passes. The only thing they ever worried about was the fact that Chelsea was prescribed like a ridiculous amount of drugs, including fentanyl, ketamine, everything that I was addicted to, hydromorphs, and I would just like hand them to her and bring her pills because she couldn't get out of bed. And that thing that I asked God to do was what got me through. I never had a craving, and like I'm so thankful for it now, because God knows I would have eaten all her pills with all the good intentions of paying it back, and I'm just gonna borrow these, you know. And like I'm glad that I don't have that guilt on my shoulders now, and I never did it. But like my first year I was lucky because I was in there, so I was surrounded by not too many options to fuck up other than when I went home, and there was just no chance to. I had to take care of Chelsea, so I got lucky then. It was the second year and the third year that were probably my hardest. I was when Chelsea really got sick, and then the year when she passed away, it was like I was strong enough in my recovery by then that I knew what I couldn't do, which was go get high or drunk, and it wasn't even like an option. Like I know lots of people say, well, you can't say it's not an option, but it just wasn't for me. Yeah. Like, and I can say that, and I'm going to say it. Yeah, and like I had kids counting on me, and you know I had mine and Chelsea's little guy Beckett with me all the time, and like we were like a team. We didn't go anywhere without each other. And in this time, I registered for school and started my social work degree. I don't know. I had always assumed that tattooing wouldn't be something I could go back to just because of like the cash, the lifestyle that's lots of times associated with it. But that's also the places I was choosing to work at too. Like not the last place like necessarily, but just like in the past before that, I'd always worked at places where they kind of allowed me to do drugs. And I would have just quit if they didn't. But I ended up getting into a really good shop here in the city, like, because of a friend of mine, and he just like took me under his wing, and it was just like learning everything all over again. But it was like I was also like very humble and able to take criticism to the point that I just wanted to do good. And I think that's what's really helped get me through everything, is the fact that I just had to like finally like shut up and just learn. Which is something I didn't do in my year in the program. I talked a lot, or not in the program, like the treatment center. I talked a lot and thought I knew everything. And then when I got out, I realized I knew absolutely nothing. So other than how to white knuckle and just do it.
Your sound is a little bit quiet. You might have to just speak up a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I spread my wind a bit, but
there you go. That's better. Sorry. So
that's okay.
When did things start getting like better for you in your life?
That's a tough question because like they got better. Like honestly, they really started getting better as soon as I went into treatment. Like as bad as things were, and like I know a lot of people wouldn't consider like losing your wife, like and your soulmate, like life being better, but like I learned like a lot of good lessons, and she taught me a lot, and I learned a lot about compassion and strength during that time. So my life has just continuously gotten better ever since I just stuck it out in treatment. Really, like, from that day that I just gave it to God and just said, "Screw it." What did I have to lose? Yeah. I'd already lost everything. I mean, no place to live, no nothing. Like, and I had nothing to go back to because there was a good chance that Chelsea was probably going to be dead by the time I got out. Yeah. So, yeah, it was a really hard decision to stick it out in there. And her and I had many talks about whether I should leave or not. And she always stuck by if you leave, you're not coming back here. And even if I die while you're in there, you need to finish so you can raise the kids when I'm gone. Because you're useless to them if you try to do it on your own. Is basically what ended up happening. And as hard as that was to listen to anybody, that was probably the first time I've ever listened to her. So, but it was the best thing I listened to, and I just kind of had to stick it out. It was hard, but I got through it, and I'm better for it. Life has just continuously gotten a little bit, not even just better, just different. Like I still struggle with lots of things, like low self-esteem. I still doubt myself constantly. And I have like tiny tattoos that keep me up at night because I keep thinking this could be the last tattoo I ever do. This will ruin my career if I screw this up. You know, just like constant doubts. Yeah, like
I guess that's a lot of stress, doubts, but
yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, if you care, it is. If you don't care, it's not. But I choose to. So
yeah, absolutely.
Like it's just like I've just learned a lot of things along the way, and I've had like all the comments that come through, man. I've had like so many people that I'm grateful for. I couldn't even name them all if I wanted to, that have just been like so supportive on Facebook, everything. Chelsea's death was like quite, like lots of people knew about it on Facebook. Lots of people knew about me. I've had lots of help along the way with just like supportive people, and just people believing in me. And that made all the difference in the world. Just like to be given the chance and have people stand behind you, even ones that didn't know me. Still, like, you know, it's a little thing.
Yeah.
Humbling.
So, how do you do it now? Like, how do you stay rooted in reality? What sort of maintenance do you practice to keep your thoughts straight?
That's I was just looking to see if my girlfriend was there listening. I probably would say rooted in reality because she makes me. She kind of put her life on hold to let me like pursue this university education, this tattoo thing for now. And she really stepped in and stepped up to take care of the kids, and help out and just look after everything really. And I maintain like a strict where I try to pray like at least once or twice a day. I don't always, I'm not perfect. So there's days I get ahead of myself and forget and get too busy. But like, I find that really grounds me, just to constantly remind myself that I need to ask God for help. Because otherwise, like, I mean, I haven't been able to do anything on my own. Like when I make my own decisions anyway, I'm not really good at it. So, but yeah, I just kind of like leave it to whatever happens and just kind of keep pushing forward. Is what, you know, giving back is probably the biggest thing that I do or try to do, whether it's volunteering or like with anything. I'm fortunate enough to like get to volunteer with the palliative unit grief camps and grief groups. And I met so many wonderful people through there, and just like it's all like just sharing numerous stories that I have, whether it's this one or the one about losing Chelsea. I just find that helps a lot. So talking about it and just being willing to just put it out there and not worry about what people think, which is a really hard thing for me because that's like my biggest thing all the time, or has been. I'd like to say I care a little less now, but that's not true. But yeah, it's just being honest and giving back. It's the only way that's honestly what keeps me going, is trying to put back more than what I took out in this world.
So do you work with other people struggling with addiction? Like, do people call you, look up to you, ask for mentorship, things like that?
I do have like quite a few. Anytime I do like a talk like this, I get quite a few messages. I did a blog on being sexually abused a long time ago, and I had a lot of people message me from that. I made a lot of good friends. I have a lot of people that reach out, and I try to answer every single one of them. I've kind of learned to like try to space it out, so I'm not just taking it all on at once, but I also try to remember how important it is to like let someone know that you hear them at least. And even if I have to answer and say, I'll have to get back to this later, I just let them know that at least I'm there and I see it. But I mean, life's pretty busy right now with school and work and everything, so it's tough.
Oh, how's school?
But yeah, I don't. School's a shit show. It is wild. Like, I'm almost done. I'm doing my mini practicum at Ranch Arlo in Pilot View. Like, I absolutely love it. The people are great. Kids are great. Couldn't ask for a better place.
What is it?
It's close to home. So it's a group living home. I guess they're getting away from residential living, is what they used to call it. But it's basically just a group home for kids with nowhere to go. There's lots of different scenarios and situations of the kids that are there. They're fairly like young. I think probably about 12 to 16, 15. I'm only about, Tuesday will be my start of my 4th week, and I have 8 months of practicum to do, so only 7 months left. And I'm in 2 classes right now as well, and working full time, so it's crazy.
And I guess, what are your plans? Like, when you get out, what's your plan? When you get out, when you get your degree.
You know what's funny though is that like I would have just been getting out not that long ago if I would have said screw it and not decided to get clean, and I would be at square -1 for sure. Like, I can only imagine the shell of a person I would have been. But my plan is like, I get asked this a lot. Like, I still want a tattoo full time, but I wanted to do social work because with the criminal record and stuff, I had a real hard time even getting volunteer positions when I first started school. Some places wouldn't even take me, and so I kind of stuck with it because I wanted to be taken seriously, have a degree, and people just couldn't say like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And
even though I still don't know what I'm talking about, at least I'll have a piece of paper that says I was supposed to.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But like, my plan is just to, try to help people. Like, I always say that I'm super fortunate that I already have a career that lets me take care of my family, and it lets me take care of my family well. So I don't have to take a job for money, social work wise. So I plan on doing wherever God puts me and whatever I'm passionate about. I'm fully willing to take way less money. I hope there's no future bosses watching this right now that are like, oh man, so yeah, we're gonna get them real cheap. But yeah, like, I always say that I'm very fortunate for that.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
I honestly don't know. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I am myself just started into Indigenous social work at FNU, and several of my classmates, including myself, say the same thing as you just said. We're not doing this to be frontline social workers. We're doing this so that we are heard, so that we can, for sure. Yeah. Because I want to change things. I want to change, because I mean, my son was apprehended, when I was using, and I thought it was, and it, maybe it was the best thing at the time, but looking back now, I think it could have been handled a lot differently. So,
like, that's awesome that you're going into social work. I've been waiting for you to do that, from like knowing you just opened Facebook over the last like few years and seeing like your journey. And I remember like talking to you at the start, because like it was very similar to mine. There was
a lot of things.
Single dad.
I would like to thank you actually. you know, publicly, because, you know, we didn't know each other at all. And there was I went through some really heavy shit, and I reached out to you a couple of times, and you were always there for me, you know, and it didn't matter. Like, the conversation did not end until I was done. And I really want to thank you for that. So,
oh, you're welcome, man. That's good.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, it's a good thing that I answered you, because then you could have turned me into a liar and been like, that's actually a lie what you said earlier. You don't answer everything. But no, like, my biggest thing with social work is just like, I've never taken well to people that don't have a story similar to mine telling me how I'm supposed to live my life or what I should do. And I'm not saying that people that don't have a story like that aren't willing to help, because there's so many social workers with really big hearts that don't have the same background but still do an amazing job. But it's just yeah, I just feel like I can make a difference doing so much more. There's so much shit I want to change, and just like to not be forced to be in a job just for a paycheck helps make it so that I can take on other things, and I can devote time to, I don't want to say change in policy, because man, I'm in a policy class right now and it's tough, but there's like small steps you can take, and it's just about making a difference. Yeah, like I just want to give back. That's it. Awesome, man. Just make the world a better place.
Well, let's have a look at some comments and go into the viewer's voice. How does that sound?
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Let's do it. Okay, so we have 6 pages of comments. So I'm sorry.
I'll just read the good ones.
Yeah, I'll filter through them here. Oh my gosh, you know, I don't even know where to start. I'm sorry if I don't get to everybody. My deepest apologies here.
Cancel. I'm scared to touch anything. Like,
no, don't touch.
Off by touching the keyboard button.
Don't touch it. Whatever you do, don't touch it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
exactly.
we've got Starla chiming in here. Starla, thanks for watching. Robert, I'm so very proud of you. It takes great courage to be vulnerable and speak your truth. Another huge step in your healing journey. We've got
Thank you.
Alex. Alex says, thanks for watching, Alex. Alex says, from when I first met you 10 years ago, you have grown so much and have become such a great person. You are a great dad, Rob. Feel free to say whatever you'd like right now.
I can't, like me, you want to say?
Yeah. If you want to make comments, like, please feel free, because I'm looking through the comments, making sure I get them all.
I can't see any comments, so I don't know. I'm just like letting you.
Oh, that's so weird.
I'm just like, yeah.
Okay.
I'm making you do all the work here. So.
Okay, well that's really weird. I don't know why you're not seeing them. That's a little freaky, actually. Okay, well I will read them out. Sarah.
Now I can see it.
Now you can see it. Okay.
Yeah, I can see Starla's right now.
Oh, there's a bit of a lag, hey? Okay, well, I'll read, we've got Sarah here. Thanks for watching, Sarah. Sarah says, you were always so nice, even through all the hard times. I'm so glad you came out the other side.
Thank you.
Dave. Dave says, congratulations, Robert, in turning your life around and now getting educated to be a social worker. We've got...
Thank you, Dave.
Double T Ranch. Oh, hang on. Here we got that. We got to do that. Yeah, sorry. Rob, it is so tough to picture that old version of you. You are such an incredible and caring human, always ready to support others. Oh, and they got cut off. Sorry, you've got a limit on the characters. I apologize, Double T. We've got Missy Ryan chiming in. You've become such a role model since you were 15. You look uncomfortable talking about some of this, but we all love you, bro.
I'm just uncomfortable with being on screen. That's my thing.
Well, we're glad that you did, man. I really appreciate you doing this for
yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. We have Cody Burns chiming in. You were a role model to a lot of people. Your story moves people to better themselves and see that anything is possible. We've got Janine chiming in saying, so glad you're still here to tell your story. And we've
These
got
comments are also nice.
Yeah, you know, this is the most viewed show that we have ever had. The last I checked, we were at 114 consecutive viewers, and that's. I
think everybody that knows me, they just want to see me uncomfortable on screen. It's probably what
well, whatever the case, here we are.
Like...
So we have got Wendy chiming in, saying, thank you for sharing your story. You are a survivor. We have Mike Lynch chiming in. Glad you had support you needed when times were hard. You are a tough person. What else do we got? We've got Junior chiming in. Never worry about what anyone says, bro. Either they are with you or they can bounce. And that is solid advice, Junior.
It is, yeah.
We have got Cassie chiming in. The youth at the ranch will benefit and learn from you so much, will benefit and learn so much from you. Oh, Cassie's a former employee of the ranch. Do you know Cassie?
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and Alex is chiming in saying, Rob is always there for everyone, no matter what he's going through. I think we've got a couple more here. We've got Dawn Leduc. I hope I pronounced your name right, Dawn. Rob has always been such a great mentor and friend to me whenever I've needed, and has mentally helped me through many hardships. And I think we are slowing down here. We've got Simone chiming in saying, thank you for sharing your story, Rob. And, oh, one more. Sorry. We've got Chase sharing full-time school, double full-time dad, somehow still crushing the ink. Yes, you are, Rob. I think the comments have slowed down now. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Is there anything that you'd like to leave us with tonight?
Like, I never thought I'd get to this point. I really didn't. I didn't think I'd be alive for sure. So all of this is like new to me. I'd like to say I get used to like doing normal things, but it's just, I still keep learning. Like, all of it's scary as shit. The biggest thing that I could say to people is to give back. Like, whether it's volunteering, or if you go to meetings, like, they have the thing called like service work, which is the same as volunteering. Do whatever, like help set up meetings, do whatever. Be there for people, and just try your best to always be like an honest and good person, and help as many people as you can, because that's really all we got, man. This world can be like a pretty shitty place, and it has been, and anyone that's been there knows that it is. So if anything you can do to make it just a little bit bigger and better for somebody, I mean, you never know what people will turn it into. Like, I got second chances, and like, I know I've completely turned things around, and lots of people didn't think that I'd make it this far, but there's a lot of people who did always have faith in me. And, you know, I like making those people proud, and making my family proud, and friends. So just give back in whatever way you can. Just honestly what it's about, just giving back more than you took out of this world.
And you are living that.
That's all anybody's going to remember you for. Yeah. Trying to.
You know, it's interesting. That brings to mind a quote that someone once said to me, and he said, the best thing anyone can ever hope to be in this world is of some use.
Yeah, for sure. And kind.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, my friend, if there's nothing else for you to say, we will let you go. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Thank you for sharing your journey with everybody who cared to listen, and for all of the people that will be watching this program from here on out on YouTube. Thank you again, and take care, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Thanks to everybody that watched and had nice comments to say. So I appreciate all of it. It helps keep me going. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, good night.
Good night.
There is power in numbers. If you would like to contribute to ending the stigma around emotional pain, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Like and comment your thoughts on our posts. Let us come together with our lived and living experience as a resource that has the power to engage new thought processes, to promote new ideas, to broaden the spectrum of care, and to show the world that the lie is dead. We do recover, and we're here to show you how. Good night. And we're clear.
Sweet.
How was that?
It was really good, I think.
Yeah, I think that was really good, man.
Sweet.
Yeah. How do you feel?
I feel pretty good, I think. Yeah. I don't know. I always feel a little drained afterwards, but I mean, I already got like 8 messages on my phone from people, so yeah. I think everybody's saying it went good. So
your friend Corey there got kind of upset with me at the beginning.
Oh no, that's just his sense of humor. He's like very crass, but no, he's good.
Yeah, he said something like it was like something very reminiscent of "shut the fuck up." So, I mean, it didn't hurt my feelings,
yeah.
but
yeah, no, he's a good shit.
Yeah, I'm sure
yeah,
he is.
No, he is. Yeah, he is.
I'm just trying to find it now. Hang on, I have to find it. Where is it? Something like, you're making this awkward. Shut up and let him tell his story. Oh, yeah. Yeah, right here. He says, no disrespect, but you're making this awkward. Let him talk. So, anyways. Yeah. No, that was great. And, dude, you are going to tattoo me someday. That is a promise.
Sweet.
Yeah, and Tanner, too.
I am. Sweet. I'm going to be doing a guest spot. I'm going to be doing a guest spot sometime after school's done out at, not Tantrics, but out at Cataclysm Studios in Christopher Lake.
Oh, okay, cool, man. Yeah, no, we're good. Awesome. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, take care, man.
See ya.
So you'll be in Saskatoon?
Yeah, like once school's done, like sometime late next year, probably, hopefully. I got my friend Mike that owns Tantrics, opened up a studio, like a private studio in Christopher Lake. So I'll probably go there and check it out and do guest spots.
So not in Saskatoon.
Well, close though, but I could go to Saskatoon too, either or.
I'll drive down to Regina. It's only 2 to 3 hours away. Yeah. Like I'll come down and hang out. Like, but you know, yeah, so for sure. I want to get Victory Loves Preparation across here.
Oh, sweet! I like doing script.
Yeah. So and like I want it to be like I want to see it on my neck. Like I don't know exactly what I want, but I definitely want to be able to see it on my neck here.
Yeah, I wonder how to do that one because that's a lot of letters to do.
Well, it'll be in Latin too.
Oh, that makes it easier then.
Yeah.
As long as you know Latin, because I don't fucking know Latin. But
well, I have it on a meme, so hopefully the meme's right.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, if it's anything like COVID,
if it's on a meme
information, then memes are definitely true. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We should just go with it. Fuck it.
That's research.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's research.
Hashtag did my own research. That's a tattoo.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, as long as you sign the paper saying you know what it is, we're good.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and if it's not in English, then I mean like 1% of the people that know Latin will be like, that's wrong. So I'll just tell people that's what it says.
How many Roman Catholics do you know that are over 80 that are going to be reading your neck anyway? So you'll be fine.
They're going to fucking show up. Watch. I bet you.
That's true.
Yeah, at the worst times too. At the worst possible times.
Yeah. Unless the Vatican's going to sponsor the show, you're probably all right.
Yeah, well, I mean, the way things are going, I wouldn't be completely shocked if that were to happen. Not to be boastful or anything.
That's true.